So it's been a couple of weeks ever since the Acolyte Finale, also known as the Acolyte Episode 8, dropped on Disney Plus and failed to reverse the backlash and any damage that was done to the previous 7 episodes. And we have those out there like Leslye Headland, Kathleen Kennedy, Amandla Stenberg engaging in full-on damage control and double down mode based on the Acolyte and its direction, and also addressing the ongoing problems with the overall story that fans absolutely reject. We know that those out there like Kathleen Kennedy, Leslye Headland, and Amandla Stenberg will never admit failure, will never admit any kind of problems with this actual series, and that, of course, is something that we have seen before with The Last Jedi, with, of course, other Star Wars projects in recent years. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So there's been a lot of drama happening behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm after Amandla Stenberg was indeed fired/removed from several Lucasfilm projects in the midst of the drama happening with the Acolyte, and also how the ratings disaster continues to worsen. I mean, it didn't even hit the Nielsen ratings, of course, top 10 list. Now, what's interesting about this has a lot more to do with Amandla Stenberg attacking the fans yet again, and this really just is beginning to get very much, pretty much old at this point, to the point where you actually see Amandla Stenberg really engaging in damage control, really getting very defensive and aggressive based on what's been going on, not just with Lucasfilm, but also what's been coming from the fans. Now, interestingly enough, on top of everything here, with the Walt Disney Company still dealing with multiple setbacks and challenges for many of their divisions, one significant development now has more to do with the Acolyte backlash and the ongoing damage control coming from the creators, of course. Now, one crucial update now has more to do with actress Amandla Stenberg responding to fans and attacking them yet again in the wake of the Acolyte Season 2, currently in shambles. Stenberg delivered the following. Well, as one who is part of the LGBTQ community and part of the non-binary community in particular, what I find to be so damaging to the film industry, and you see this with the loud minority of fans, and their reaction to the Acolyte, is that they always will blame women for ruining a popular product, properly or from a popular brand from a major studio. We see this with Marvel, and we are seeing it again with Star Wars from the same toxic male demographic that can be quite inflammatory with the comments that they make. These are the same so-called fans that don't know what Star Wars is even about. The thing that was really infuriating to me was with George's films was that they did not properly address the issues with sexism and misogyny, and that was always my main criticism with those 6 films of his, and to have those like Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland finally stepping up to the plate to take on that challenge, and successfully doing so the way that they handled it, was so inspiring. I made this clear already multiple times, but I am unwilling to comment or even talk about Season 2. I would rather focus away from that conversation that so many have been putting pressure on me to do so. What these posers don't understand, and yes, they are posers because they are not fans if you are quick to criticize a Star Wars story just because it holds representation and everything else related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. What they don't understand is that The Acolyte was a love letter by Leslye Headland to bold films like The Last Jedi that are willing to take risks, that are willing to call out the growing issues with sexism that we see in this story with the characters like Soul, and how that was used as a plot for both Osha and May. Now guys, let me just pause here quick before I move on. Now, she's obviously parroting what Leslye Headland talked about how basically Soul, the character, is an example of one that engages in benign sexism. That's literally what Leslye Headland said. That's what Amandla Stenberg is saying here and is supporting when it comes to the overall story, and that is ridiculous. The fact that they have to go that far, the fact that they have to jump into that ideology just goes to show you what Leslye Headland and her mission was with the Acolyte, right? It was all about this ongoing ideology, this nonsense agenda over proper character development, over proper storylines, and, basically just telling a pure entertaining story. They failed to do that on so many levels, and I think that episode 3 and episode 7 really are the worst additions in the Acolyte. They are by far the worst episodes. But moving onwards from all of this, alright, she goes on to continue, in many ways, characters like Osha and May fit better to the story than the Skywalker twins, since they hold this deep connection to the Force and are one. As far as I'm concerned, fans only want men in the Star Wars films and TV series. They are seemingly frightened and afraid of powerful women played by powerful female roles, that Lucasfilm takes pride in. That is the main source of the issue there, and I think that needs to continue to be addressed, whatever it takes to shine the light on the issue. So again, Stenberg is blaming fans for being frightened or afraid of powerful female roles, of powerful women in pop culture, or whatever TV show or movie out there it may be. In this example, Star Wars. And that's not the case. Everyone loves characters out there, just to name two, like Leia Organa, like Padme Amidala. I mean, do I have to keep going on and on? Ahsoka Tano, another one there. You have Mon Mothma, another one. I mean, it just is another point that we have to keep putting out there, because they really like to set their narrative, but they also like to claim that fans that are calling out the Acolyte for what it really is nothing more than their narrative. That's what Lucasfilm likes to do. But moving onwards, she goes on to conclude, Leslye knew going into this that she had to take things up a notch if she wanted to properly represent the LGBTQ community, not just with the characters, but also the great cast and crew that come from the same community was her priority over the story, and to us, that's all that really matters in the end, that everyone deserves a chance in Star Wars. So basically, she's openly admitting that really hiring those that come from an LGBTQ community to take part in the cast and the crew was a priority over telling a proper story is ludicrous. It is insane. And that's exactly why this story lacked. Even Leslye Headland talked about how she wanted to hire, and she did do this, by the way, she hired those that knew nothing about Star Wars to create this unbiased, set or series of sets, whether it was in studio or on location outside of the studio. They wanted an unbiased cast and crew that knew nothing about Star Wars. Well, that's exactly why you had Charlie Barnett, by the way he plays Yord in the show, who said on camera that Anakin was the one that destroyed the Death Star, alright? That is a result of hiring actors, actresses, crew members that know nothing about Star Wars at all, period. That is a living example of Leslye Headland's mismanagement as the showrunner of the series, as a direct hire from Kathleen Kennedy. Now again, like I say, The Acolyte is by far the worst addition to Star Wars. We did a recent poll on Twitter, I don't know if you guys caught it, whether or not The Acolyte is worse than The Last Jedi, and, well, not so shockingly, most agreed that The Acolyte is indeed worse than The Last Jedi as far as lore goes, as far as storytelling goes, world building goes. I mean, the list goes on and on there. But overall, there's a lot of problems here with Leslye Headland. There's a lot of issues, of course, with Amandla Stenberg. They are obviously taking it out on the fans, taking everything out on the overall fandom based on what's been going on between Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.